Hello everyone, I'm Brazen Eagle and thank you for joining me here. So today, I'm going completely off script and just going to talk to you guys about a little bit of the history behind what we know as Antifa. Now, our modern Antifa and a little bit of historical Antifa. So, the Antifa movement is a conglomeration of left-wing autonomous, militant, anti-fascist, or really just communist groups in the United States. The principal feature of Antifa groups is their use of direct action, which conflicts occurring both online and in real life. They engage in varied protest tactics, which include digital activism, property damage, physical violence, and harassment against those whom they identify as fascist, racist, or on any right-wing issue of which it is to the right of Antifa. This Wikipedia article says, far-right, literally, they just oppose anyone that's to the right of them. Activists involved in the movement tend to be anti-capitalists and subscribe to a range of ideologies, typically on the left. I have never heard of anyone who espouses right-wing ideas who is a member of Antifa, but you know what, maybe I'm wrong. They include anarchists, socialists, and communists, along with some liberals and social democrats. Their stated focus is fighting far-right and white supremacist ideologies directly rather than through electoral means. Their stated focus on fighting far-right, like I said before, it's just anything to the right of Antifa. So a little bit about history. I mean, it started off with, being opposed to Benito Mussolini in Italy in the mid-1920s, but really the sentence down here. Although there is no organizational connection, the lineage of Antifa in America can be traced back to Weimar Germany, where the first group described as Antifa was Anti-Fascistische Aktion, formed in 1932 with the involvement of the Communist Party of Germany. And this is where I always dislike it when people call Antifa fascists. They are absolutely not fascists. They are communists. Most of the time. They're also socialists, some liberals, some super socialists, but frankly, they're hard left-wing people. But like it said, it traces its roots back to the Weimar Republic. Now, if you don't know anything about the Weimar Republic, the Weimar Republic was a republic that existed for 14 years after the defeat of the German Empire in World War I. At the end of World War I, Germany, the people were extremely upset with the loss that was handed to them, even though Germany itself wasn't defeated. I mean, it was pretty much defeated, but there was no real battles on German soil. And the defeat of Germany, the dissolution of the empire, and the destruction of the monarchy just threw everything into a giant mess. And within the Weimar Republic Wikipedia article here, Germany became a de facto republic on the 9th of November 1918 when Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated the German and Prussian thrones with no agreement made on a succession by his son, Crown Prince Wilhelm, and became a de jure republic in February 1919 when the position of President of Germany was created. A national assembly was convened in Weimar where a new constitution for Germany was written and adopted on the 11th of August 1919. In its 14 years, the Weimar Republic faced numerous problems including hyperinflation, political extremism with paramilitaries both left and right-wing, as well as contentious relationships with the victors of the First World War. Basically, the Weimar Republic was very weak, extremely weak in its authority, and basically it was doomed to fail from the beginning. And this is where we get both, or at least at that time, paramilitaries on the left and right of the political spectrum. Let's see. Within the Weimar Republic, there were several different paramilitary groups. Wikipedia, even though it tries to be unbiased, there's some things I would not call centrist. So anyways, there were apparently several right-wing groups affiliated to political parties, but that's not the focus of this video. If you want me to cover these later, so be it. They claim that these two parties were centrists, but if you actually take a look at these two parties, the Reichsbanner Schwarz-Rot-Gold is actually a socialist party overall. Not completely, but overall it was mostly a socialist party that really isn't centrist. And the Eisener Front, it wasn't centrist either. Not really. And then they have the left-wing Rotfront-Kämpferbund, which is the Communist League, and other communist groups included the Young Anti-Fascist Guard, the Fighting League Against Fascism, and the Anti-Fascist Action Group, and all were banned in 1933 when Hitler took power. Anyway, so let's actually get talking about the old and original Anti-Fascistische Aktion, which is known as Antifa, and is currently still an supposedly anti-fascist network in Germany. So, history. The first German movement to call itself Anti-Fascistische Aktion was proclaimed by the German Communist Party, KPD, in the newspaper Rote Fahne in 1932 and held its first rally in Berlin on 10th of July 1932, then the capital of the Weimar Republic. It has a two-flag logo designed by the Association of Revolutionary Visual Artists. Members Max Nobody Knows and Max Nobody Also Knows remains a widely used symbol of militant anti-fascism, or basically communism, and there you go. Herr zu uns, come to us. The late 1920s and the early 1930s saw rising tensions between Nazis and leftists, basically socialists and communists. Berlin, in particular, was the site of regular and often very violent clashes between the two groups. Berlin, in this case, is Portland, Oregon, except in Portland, Oregon, the right does nothing, yet the left is violent. Anyways, there were several Nazi and anti-Nazi paramilitary groups. On the anti-Nazi side, those included the Social Democrat-dominated Reichsbanner Schwarz-Rot-Gold, formed in 1924, which, like I said, was basically a socialist group. The Communist paramilitary and propaganda organization Roter Front Kampfverbund, like this was on the other page of Wikipedia what we were just on, the Red Front Fighters League, or RFB, formed in 1924, and the Communist Kampfbund gegen den Faschismus, also known as the Fighting Alliance Against Fascism, formed in 1930. In late 1931, the local Roter Massenselbstschutz, or Red Mass Self-Defense, or the RMSS units, were formed by Kampfbund members as autonomous and loosely organized structures under the leadership of, but outside, the formal organization of the KPD, the Communist Party, as part of the party's United Front policy to work with other working-class groups to defeat fascism. In May 1929, the Roter Front Kampfverbund has been banned after rallies escalated on Mai Feiertag in Berlin. 33 people were killed and many were injured in the confrontations between police and protesters. It actually sounds like the police then, unlike the police in Portland, Oregon, actually did a job to contain violence. May 1st, 1929 was the bloodiest Mai Feiertag in German history. Following a skirmish between Nazi and Communist members, and these were actual Nazis, in the parliament, Anti-Fascistische Aktion, Antifa, was formed as a broad-based alliance in which Social Democrats, which were really just socialists, communists, and others, probably anarchists, could fight legal repression and engage in self-defense against Nazi paramilitaries. How many people belong to Antifa is difficult to determine because there's no membership cards. Rather, Antifa developed out of practical participation. The RMSS units were absorbed into Antifa, forming the nuclei of the latter's unity committees, organized on a micro-local basis, example, in apartment buildings, factories, or allotments, as well as fighting Nazis and fascists. The RMSS and the Antifa used their militant approach to develop a comprehensive network of self-defense for communities targeted by the Nazis, for example, in tenant protection against evictions. Initially, the RMSS units had minimal formal membership, but in the second half of 1932, local executive boards were created to coordinate the activities of the communists, more communists, and even more communists, which were illegal, and with the RMSS given a more distinct and almost paramilitary defense role, often cooperating on an ad hoc basis with the Reichsbanner, which was more the socialist centrist party. Really wasn't centrist at all, it was socialists. With Antifa, the KPD, the Communist Party, not only wanted to create a cross-party collection movement dominated by the communists, but they also aimed specifically at the Reichstag election on the 31st of July 1932. The election campaign for the July election in 1932 is regarded as the most violent in German history, in particular between KPD and, basically between the Nazis and between the communists. It came to massive clashes and even shootings, and after the forced dissolution in the wake of the Machtergreifung in 1933, the movement went underground, and that's where Antifa went. They have a little article, or a little bit more about after Hitler, which rose up during 1944 again, and since the 1980s, contemporary Antifa in Germany at least, has no practical historical connection to the movement from which it takes its name, but is instead a product of West Germany's squatter scene and autonomist movement in the 1980s. The American Antifa movement of the early 21st century has drawn its aesthetics, of course, and some of its tactics from the original German organization. So, Antifa. Not fascist. Absolutely not fascist. I mean, hell, it's in its name. They are anti-fascists. But as you can tell from this picture, they also say abolish capitalism. So they're definitely not very nice to capitalists, as well as smash fascism. So be it. So what have we learned? Antifa uses direct action. They're violent. They are basically communists and socialists, and some anarchists. As well as, Antifa's not new. Antifa's old. It's very old. Very, very old. Just, if you want to come to this Wikipedia page, I will link all these Wikipedia pages, articles, in the description below, but this is actually kind of well detailed, but Antifa is, just doing whatever communists do. I mean, you would have thought that people had defeated socialists and communists at the end of the Cold War with the dissolution of the USSR, but no, in 2019, we're still fighting communists and socialists. Well, not exactly. No one is fighting communists and socialists. Nowadays, sure, there are Nazis on the internet, but I don't literally see anyone fighting Antifa, like in the streets, even in Portland. Sure, you got people like Proud Boys saying, oh, we'll fight Antifa, we'll do blah, 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 blah. Well, I haven't seen any action. I mean, Antifa, communists, socialists are winning in the streets, and no one's standing up to them, unless people like me get involved. So, regardless though, I just wanted to bring a little bit of more of a historical perspective on Antifa, the communists, anarchists, socialists group that wants to destroy, basically, the state, families, and everything like that. But, with that in mind, thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm Brazen Eagle, and I hope you have a great day.